Yo, yo, we are live. I'm just sharing stream. Give me about a minute. All right, I think we're good to go. All right, hey, what's up, guys? So, 2K did their bi-weekly roster update. There were 140 players that received rating changes in this update. I've got a list here. Let me actually just minimize this real quick. And let's do double size. So this is the list that 2K put out. These are all the big movers. There were, I think, 43 big movers, 31 and up and 12 down by my last count, roughly. That might be a little off, but I took the liberty of breaking down all the players by team, as I feel like that is a better way to do it than they do it. They just throw a mishmash of like. They threw 140 players together on this gigantic wall of text, sort of just by overall, and like I feel like the doing things by team keeps things a little more organized in terms of like finding players, because 2K fans and players, etc., usually are only looking for the guys on their favorite team to see if they went up or down, but also the overall rating is. It matters more in the context of the team than it does league-wide, which is something that I've previously covered and will probably cover again during this stream. I expect this stream to go a little long. Last time I did one of these, when the roster dropped, ended up going on like 6 hours. So I kind of anticipate the same, or maybe a little shorter time frame for this. We are going to go through all 30 teams. So yeah, let's just get right to it. Here's the overall list, and I guess I'll skim down it, just so everybody gets a chance to see it real quick. But in case you're watching like the replay and not doing this live, so Sixers are 4 guys, Bucks 5, Bulls 6, Cavs 6, Celtics 5, Clippers 3, Grizzlies 5, Hawks 3, Heat 4, Hornets 6. Jazz only 1, Kings 6, Knicks 6, Lakers 3, Magic 3, Mavs 2, Nets nobody, Nuggets 3, Pacers 5, Pelicans 6, Pistons 7, Raptors 5, Rockets 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, they're the high team this week. Spurs 7, Suns 4, Thunder 7. Wolves 5, Blazers 5, Warriors 7, and Wizards 2. So, pretty interesting. The Nets don't have anybody that was updated, but that doesn't mean that they haven't had like attribute changes and stuff. It just means that nobody's overall changed as a result of those attribute changes. So, which is probably abnormal, but it does happen. And maybe the fact that guys like Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving missed some games, etc., that may have also factored into it. But let's start off at the top. We are going to go through in order. And I'm going to be working on my roster stuff in the meantime also as I do this. So let's bring this back. We already know the rating changes, etc. So what I'm going to be doing during this is also checking for badge updates, as it's not just attributes that change, it's also badges. And badges are probably more important than attributes in today's game. Most of what the badges do are what the attributes used to do before the badges existed. So, like the 3-point rating used to be this all-inclusive badge, but now, you know, there's... Oh my god, the lag is murdering me right now. Like 17 total shooting badges. And we see like a player like Tobias Harris has... Even Tobias Harris, a non-all-star, has multiple golds. And these badges essentially mean that if you took a player with a comparable 3-point rating and no badges, Harris would wildly outperform such a player. So that's just something to keep in mind, and it is something we're going to be searching for. So without further ado, let me head on into my roster doc and let me tweak the size of this a little bit. Okay, so I don't think there were any badges for badge changes for this team. What's our list? Simmons, Curry, Green, and Corky. All right, so oh my god, lag. Why? 39, 19, 18. This category over here is the 2K badge total. Anything that's in red indicates that they've had their badges adjusted during the season. So we see Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid had badge updates during the year. And if that number is different for any of these players, it means that they got their badges updated. We are looking at the 2K roster at the moment. All right, nothing. So let's look at each of these guys. 218, 88. What was the other ones? Curry down 2. Interesting. Curry down 2, Green, and Corky. All right. Okay, this is Danny Green's first rating change of the year. And Corkman continues to go down, which I'm not 100% sold on. Hey, what's up, Jen? And where is he? There he is. Okay, so let's look at Ben Simmons starting at the top. He went up a point. And I'm just going to look at each player's, what they did in the last 2 weeks. So everything from 2-4? 2-4 was 2-4? No, so 2... Hold on. Roster came out on 2-4? Yeah, so 2-4 games still count. So games from 2-4 to 2-17 are what we're looking at. So Simmons played 5 games. He shot 63% from the field, averaged 23 points a game, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. So pretty clear why his rating went up, as that's well above what he normally does. In fact, he had 42 points. That's got to be I'm sure that's a career high, 42 points. Easily I doubt he even dropped 30 in another game. Yeah. So basically doubled his scoring in total for the year against the Jazz. Yeah, I think this is a pretty clear pretty clear. And the previous update before that was, I believe, 121. So 121 to 2-3. And then just looking at by comparison, in the previous cycle, he only averaged 16 points. So 22 versus 16. This is how we're going to be tracking how, whether or not these overall rating changes were merited. That's the best way that you can really do it is, people will post on various forums and whatnot and say, oh, player, how could they raise so-and-so, or how could they lower so-and-so by 1 point? Like, people lose their minds, but when you break it down, usually this stuff is the case. Like, you can see a clear differential in their production that would lead to a rating change. And +1, -1, these are very minimal. It's just like statistical fluctuation. It's going to happen. Guys are going to go up +1, -1 throughout the year. It's the -2s, +2s that signify real change. So let's check out Seth Curry, who started off the year very well, and I guess tailed off after he came back from his COVID-19 diagnosis. So just looking at it real quick, what Seth Curry did before his absence, he was shooting 60% on threes, 60 from the field, 17 points a game. Like, that was his best stretch of basketball of his career. So let's look at what he did most recently. So most recently, can this be seen? Oh, hold on, let me adjust. I just realized. Yeah. While we're looking at basketball reference. Okay. So Seth Curry over the last 2 weeks only averaged 13 points and 47% from the field and from three. So, not that there's anything wrong with this figure. 47% from three is phenomenal, but he was shooting at a historical clip earlier in the year. So naturally, his ratings are going to drop as he comes back down to earth. This is really what he should be, like what his floor is, or what like his average production is going to be, I think. I don't know. At 91 3-point, it's probably a little underrated, to be honest. Like, I would have this at, I'd still have him at like 94 or something like that. Free throw rate, 98%, huh? What is this combined? 87? They've got him at 88? Yeah. Okay. So there isn't too much to write home about. The problem that 2K has with the way that they do their ratings, or at least their bi-weekly updates, is for the most part the only attributes that are changing are the ones that are tied to stats. So stuff like the 3-point rating, rebound ratings, steals, blocks, all the counting stats. That's all getting edited because they're plugging stats into a spreadsheet. Ratings that don't have a stat formula tied to them, that they have to go in and like manually change, those aren't being updated with any type of regularity. And that's kind of the issue that the 2K roster has at the moment, is 140 players changed, but 100, only a handful were changed meaningfully. We look at Seth Curry and his 35 defensive consistency. Well, let's head on over to the Sixers. They are 6th defensively, and Curry is one of their starters, so he's a significant portion of their defense. So that's like an attribute that probably should be changed for him. We can head to RPM. I personally like to use RPM to calculate my my consistency ratings. So let's see where Curry ranks in RPM. All right, so 0.57 for offense. So 44th out of 116 shooting guards. And then 51st out of 116 shooting guards. So, like, 35 defensive consistency is, like, bottom of the barrel. It's one of the lowest ratings in the league. Like, that's something that stands out to me as something that needs to be adjusted to, like, properly reflect, like, how good the team is defensively. Like, he's not killing them on defense. He's not... they're, I don't know what parallel, like Bradley Beal, etc. Or I guess we could just look at like RPM and go all the way to the bottom for the two guards. Who are the worst defensive two guards in the league? Zach Lavine, Bradley Beal, James Harden. Those are the guys that stand out as like if they're the teams are bad defensively and they're a major contributing factor based on how many minutes they're playing, etc. They contribute to the defensive score of the team. And Curry's not. Or he's not negatively affecting it. So anyway, that's I've harped on that, I think, enough. So let's check out Danny Green. Drops to the 75. Okay, yeah, it looks like his shooting dipped a little bit. So let's see where he's at for the last 2 weeks. Only 6.9 points a game, 43% from the field, 39% from three. It was all kind of standard, to be honest. Let's see what he did previously. Eight points a game, 43%, 35%. Like, marginal, he's averaging a point less per game over that stretch. You can see he had a 9-3 game. Yeah, this was probably his best stretch of the year. Right here. 41% from three, 12 points a game. Yeah, so, like, his numbers have kind of been trickling down. I personally have Green at an 80 overall. I don't know what 2K is doing to really get him that low. Oh, I mean, yeah, there we go. They have his intangibles at a 25. Because they basically they want him to have a lower overall rating. Like his attributes don't actually reflect it. That's why they have the intangibles on as like a modifier. Yeah, I don't know. It's just too low for me for a guy that's playing 28 minutes a game for the team and is a solid two-way player. Like he would start for most teams in the league. He wouldn't be coming off the bench, and that's what like a 75. Kind of reflects that he's a backup level player. So I don't know. And frickin' Corkman is 73. Or oops, wrong one. Okay, Cork how's his season gone? He missed a little bit of time. He was hurt to start the year. But since then he's kind of come on strong a little bit. He had this week where he averaged 12 points a game, shot 49% from the field. Other than that, it's been a little spotty for him, as we see over the last 4 games. He's shooting only 22% from the field. It's 8% on threes. So that would certainly explain why he dropped in rating. We combine those two, the good stretch of games and the bad stretch of games, and collectively we've got 36%, 24% on three, 7.5 points a game. So this right here, signifies why his rating dropped. Yeah, not having a particularly great year. As we see, his true shooting is kind of in the dumpster. Hopefully he turns it around at some point. He probably will. He is a good shooter. And they have him at 3-level scorer, which, okay, so they dropped his 3-point rating to a 77. As previously, he was a 3-point specialist. But because his 3-point rating dropped under an 80, his archetype changed. Hold on. Equals 3-level score. Okay, I'm just doing some bookkeeping for myself. Corkmas. Yep, two-way slashing playmaker, Seth Curry. From sharpshooter. Okay, that indicates that they boosted his one of his shooting ratings, despite his rating dropping in this update. Another reason I don't like them dropping Korkmaz's rating is he's actually the 7th man on the team. So based on the amount of minutes he gets, it doesn't really make sense for him to be this low in the rotation. Like if I auto, if I redo the rotations automatically, which is what happens frequently in anytime you start a season or anything like that, or a player gets hurt or whatever the case, he would be underneath Tony Bradley in on the depth chart, like tied with Vincent Poirier. Mike Scott is also by that same regard, underrated, and realistically, Isaiah Joe should be higher rated than Terrence Ferguson. But we're gonna let's move on. I'm not gonna nitpick some of these foibles a little much, or not too much. 2K has their own philosophy for how they do this. All right, Milwaukee. Okay, so we got Drew Holiday coming in at an 86. Pat Connaughton, he goes down to a 76. Tory Craig's up. Bryn Forbes is up. DJ Augustine is down. Okay, all of this is pretty minor movement. Let's check out each of these guys. Drew Holiday's kind of been out for this entire update, and his 2 games were super efficient. The 2 games that were part of this update, 70% from the field. He went up or down? He went up. Okay, so that makes sense. So just off these 2 games, he went up a point. Sure, whatever. Like I said, minor fluctuation is expected when you're factoring in stats. Pat Connaughton. Okay, 20 point game, eh? You don't say. We are not counting games from the 18th because those are after the update. So anything played last night. So Connaughton had a very strong game to kind of cap off this update. But otherwise was pretty mediocre. And the rest of this cycle, only 27% on threes. So this game really salvaged his the rest of his February, as without that he's only at 35%, 17% on three. And he dropped, right? Yeah, so his rating dropped as a result of his production these last 2 weeks. Let's look at Tory Craig, who looks like he started to steal his playing time a little bit. Yeah, Craig's been in the rotation. %58 from the field. Yep, that's pretty self-explanatory. Forbes up, Augustine down. Okay. Forbes. Let me see. I see a bunch of double-figure efforts. 53% from the field, 51% from three, 12.5 points a game. I mean, all he does is shoot, and he shot it well, so that makes sense. And Augustine, he's been having a little bit of a rough year. Let's see what he did wrong this time. I keep clicking that bottom game. Hold on. Augustine, 27% from the field, 25% from three. Yeah, the Bucks changes were all very crystal clear, as they had players that were either hot or cold. So 218.86. Anybody? Okay, let me just count badges. Not expecting these guys to have badges. They don't usually change the badges on the role players, and that's who all these players were for the most part. All right, no badge changes here. Looks like I might need to update Tory Craig. Generally, my ratings, which is what these are, my ratings are always going to be like a point or two higher than what 2K's got. So if I ever have a player that's underrated, either it usually just means that I need to update them. That's what that comes down to. Either that or 2K has them like wildly overrated, which is the case sometimes, but not often. So let's move on to Chicago. Okay, Zach Lavine, 88 overall. One of the stars of this update, although he only went up a point. Thad Young, Kobe White, Denzel Valentine, Tomas Satoransky, and Max Struss with a +3. Okay, let's check him out. Zach Lavine has. I'm actually gonna let's head over to my Twitter account real quick. Ooh, I got a message. Nifty. Something I just retweeted. Zach Lavine is averaging 31 points in his last 10 games. He's the only Bulls player since Michael Jordan to average 30 points per game over a 10-game span. You can follow me at Real2K Insider, by the way. So, Lavine, oh my God. Since the last update, 55% from the field, 55% from three, 34 points a game in his last 7, 34, 6, and 5. That is very good. That pretty much makes up for him being an abominable defender. We go down to his overall season line, 65 true shooting. We can see that's very easily his career high. Typically, the MO on Lavine has been, he's a okay scorer on a bad team. The difference is this year he is a phenomenal scorer on a bad team, like akin to like what Bradley Beal's been doing the last few years. Like Lavine definitely made a step forward this year in terms of his scoring. 44 3-point percentage, that's going to hold, hopefully. And this 7% increase in his field goal percentage, we're going to break that down real quick. I already know the answer to this. So last year, Lavine was god-awful from 3 to 16 feet. He was basically the worst player in the NBA from 3 to 16 feet. 31 of 156 is 19.8% from basically floater range. There are not many slashing guards who are ever going to have a shot profile like this. So that was last year, and let's take a look at this year. This year he is 39 of 92. So he's already hit 8 more shots in 60 fewer attempts. 39 of 92. 42%. So he went from 19% to 42%. The 19% was like completely unheard of. 42%, this is like pretty standard for a scoring guard. Like, it is average. So he went from like abominable to like slightly above average. And that's kind of done wonders for his efficiency. Players now have to defenders now have to respect his drives, which is most likely opening things up for him on the three-point line. They aren't just crowding him. He's also 50% from actual mid-rangers, 29 to 57, which is pretty damn good for a two guard nowadays. This is a shot that has predominantly died off for like the modern NBA player, as most players are just taking threes and whatnot. Basically, you're predominantly you score from mid range when the shot clock is running down. As long as you're not taking those shots like with 20 seconds left on the shot clock, it's not a terrible shot by any stretch. And yeah, 51%. That should be way better than last year. Let me see. Yeah, 41% last year. And what was he the year before that? 38%. Yeah, so looks like he's just scoring much more efficiently from the mid-range, which has kind of opened things up for him overall. And we're going to check. He might have some badges too. No, 31 badges, still the same. Okay. Is what it is. I'm sure there are definitely changes we could make there. Let's get to the rest of the guys. Thad Young, 80. Kobe White, 79. All right, well, let's check out Kobe White since we're logged onto him. Oops, hold on. All right, anyway, Kobe White, looks like he's having a slightly better year than last year. 15 points versus 13. Shooting is basically the same from 3 field goals. Free throw shooting is a little bit better. But his pass ratings are up because he's been playing point guard rather than 2 guard, which he did last year. So let's see what he did the last 2 weeks. 16 points. 41%, 34%, 91% from the line, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. So, kind of standard. 16 points is probably a little above his average. Let's see what he did the prior 2 weeks. 14 points, yeah. So that makes sense. He's probably going to fluctuate up and down a point throughout the entire year. Hasn't really taken a step forward in any meaningful category aside from his assist rate. It's all pretty much the same across the board otherwise. Free throw shooting, free throw shooting and assist rate. And no badge updates for him. Equals shot creator. I think that means that they boosted one of his shot ratings to get that archetype change. They have him, I have him 2 points underrated, or rated lower than 2K, but some of that is just, I don't know, I don't think he's definitely in the bottom 5 of like starting point guards. In my opinion, Thaddeus Young. Zach Levine called Thaddeus Young the MVP of the team. That might maybe speaks to how bad the rest of the team is, but we can see he's shooting 59% from the field, a lot better than the year before. Let's get to the bottom of that. So over the last 2 weeks, 59% from the field, 12 points a game, 7 rebounds, 4.7 assists. That's another thing, is his assist rate is through the roof this year. It's another wrinkle that he recently added to his game, and when I mean through the roof, I mean he's more than doubled his career assist rate. Like, you don't see this type of growth very often. This is also the highest offensive rebound rate of his career. That is worth noting. So he's been playing very well this year. And that praise makes sense given that context. And just a very solid defender overall. Great steal rates his entire career as a power forward. have him at an 80 overall, which is pretty high for a backup. They don't often have bench players rated at an 80. Obviously, and he continues to come off the bench even though Markkanen has been out with an injury. Highlight all these guys as I go through them. Who are the other ones? Valentine, Satoransky, Struss. Should make it a little easier for me to do this. Oh, whoops. Max Struss was on the team last year. He's actually a member of the Heat. Okay. Whoops. 3, 4, 5. Okay. So 5 Heat, 5 Bulls. Okay. Valentine and Satoransky. Okay, so let's check out Denzel Valentine. He went up a point, and ooh, all right, he's not starting anymore. He was starting for a little bit. Who's the starter now? Is it Otto Porter? No, it's Garrett Temple. That's right. Okay. Okay, so Valentine had a good run in the starting lineup. Discounting this 1 for 11 game, he looks like he had a solid 2 weeks. 12 points a game, 38% from the field, 37% from 3. He's mainly a 3-point shooter. 4 rebounds, 2 assists. So, yeah, 12 points per game on good shooting. This is where I completely disagree with... I don't know in what universe like you would consider Denzel Valentine like on par with Danny Green, though, given everything Green brings to the table defensively when they're shooting basically about the same. So I don't know. That's 2K and their intangibles rating, all that stuff. I've been sub, got me back. And who else so let me actually just adjust that real quick. Satoransky's our last Bull. Okay, I'll just fix that in my roster later. So let's check out Sato. Okay, Sato's last 2 weeks. 9 points a game, 51% from the field, 55% from 3, 4 rebounds, 5 assists. Mainly the key thing, I guess, to look at with the figuring out why these guys went up or down is usually just the shooting percentages. I do think that 2K fluctuates their shooting ratings a little too much for my taste. I would prefer that they weighted things, like they based things a little more off of like career rather than like you don't need to drop a player like 10 points 1 week just to bring them back up 10 points the next week. Like they did that with Zach Lavine earlier in the year. Zach Lavine, they dropped him to a 75 3-point in the first ratings update, and they basically look foolish because he's at 44% now. Like he's shot the lights out ever since that update. So what was the point of even dropping him down? You could have just looked at like the first 7 years of his career and seen, oh, he averages 38% from 3 or whatever his career rate is. Like, it's reasonable to expect, like, on a 50-shot sample, he's going to shoot better. Yeah, he's 38% for his career. So, you know, there's no reason that they should have dropped him that low to begin with, and that's I think why there's so much fluctuation with the ratings, like there doesn't need to be 140 players going up or down in rating every 2 weeks. Some of it just relates to that. I think how they get suckered into the highs and lows based on shooting percentages a little too much. So Sato went up a point to 1875. 88. This is 79. I think that's everybody. Lavine. Okay, let's go on to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Oh, and I guess hold on. So let me just check what each team has done so far. So the Sixers 19-10, about average offensively and good defensively. Milwaukee 16-13, not as good as they've been the last couple of years. Third offensively, but their defense has slipped a lot. They're basically only marginally above average. 12th, they ranked number 1 in the league the last 2 years. So even though they brought in Jrue Holiday to replace Eric Bledsoe, Eric Bledsoe did make the All-Defensive team the last few years. And it's possible that Holiday hasn't been as effective on that end as Bledsoe was. There's probably other factors at play as well, but that certainly explains their struggles. The Bulls, on the other hand, are 12-15. They're playing much better than they did last year under Jim Boylan. And they've dealt with a lot of injuries this year, just as they did last year, and they're relatively the same team roster-wise that they were last year. They've gotten better play out of Zach Lavine, but also better play out of guys like Thaddeus Young, etc. that we've seen. So they've, they're hanging in there. Basically, they'd be playing in the play-in game if the season ended today. 18th offensively, 19th defensively, so they are like a slightly below average team. But last year they were abominable offensively, primarily based on the garbage tier coaching of Jim Boylan. So let's see where the Cavs are at. Cavs fell back down to earth pretty hard, as we can see from their calendar. They've just been losing big nonstop basically since Larry Nance got hurt. I don't think they've won a game since Larry Nance got hurt. They are 10-19, dropped down to 14th in the East. Andre Drummond has been put on the trading block, as he's been healthy this whole stretch, and they haven't been able to put together any type of success. So the writing's on the wall. They're not going to make the playoffs again. And they just traded for Jarrett Allen, so it makes sense to just to concretely say he's the future. That was kind of easy to figure out. But offensively, they are at the bottom of the league. They rank 30th. And defensively, not too much better. The offensive thing is perhaps a little deceptive because, again, they have dealt with a lot of injuries. And they really have been without, missing Kevin Love and Larry Nance. They just don't have like a functional power forward on this team, and they don't really have too much in the way of like guard depth either. So they're just stretched way too thin to be able to remain competitive. It was good while it lasted in the first month of the year, but so for the Cavs, Sexton, Drummond, they both went down a point. Dylan Windler's up 2 points. Prince is down 2 points. That's a little silly to me because as far as I can recall, his numbers have been fine. Akaro's down a point. Datson's down a point. So the only one who went up is Dylan Windler. Let's check out Sexton and Drummond. Sexton started off the year hot, but he kind of came back down to earth recently. You can see he has a 4-point game over here. So over the last 2 weeks, 20 points a game, 45%, 33 on threes. Let's see where he was at the start of the year. Start of the year, 53% from the field, 52% on threes, 25 points a game. So very clearly, not producing at the same level. He was at this point of the year. People were talking about him for like the All-Star team, but obviously, you know, it's normally an 82-game season. I think this year it's 72. You know, things even out over the long term. So that drop makes sense. 1883. I forget to check the badges for the Bulls. I'll do that when I do the Cav badges. Yep, the Cavs will not play Drummond as they attempt to trade him. So for this rating cycle, 15 points, 9 rebounds, 52% from the field. The 9 rebounds seems pretty low for his usual standards. 26 minutes per game, but even then, that's like, if we just backtrack a little bit, like, yeah, there's a whole bunch of games where he doesn't. Drummond is always going to grab double-digit rebounds. Like here, he's got a 22 game. Like this stretch is ridiculous by comparison. 18 rebounds a game in 28 minutes. So, yeah, his it looks like his rebound ratings are what took the hit. And we can also see that he's only shooting 47% from the field. He is a big part of that 30th ranking on offense. Prince, Akaro. Let's take out Prince since he is in the starting lineup. And we see a tale of 2 seasons for him. Oh, it looks like he tailed off a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so with the Nets, he was kind of a little mediocre. With the Cavs, he's been shooting better from 3, 43%. But it looks like the rest of his shooting kind of fell off a little bit. Let's just take a look. So for this cycle, yeah, I mean, he's been hitting the 3, like I said, 48% over this cycle, but I guess the rest of the shooting kind of bottomed out. Anything else? His assist rate's up with the Cavs. Everything else is pretty much the same, though. I don't know if I would have dropped him by, what is this, 2 points? I don't know. Stretch 4. He's another victim of the 2K not updating badges. This is why his overall rating is low. Prince has had only 1 badge for like the last 2 years, which is ridiculous. Bronze catch and shoot is the most that they could get for a guy that's been starting the last 5 years of his career. You know? They were able to find, when Darius Garland was a rookie, he had 22 badges on him. Dylan Windler's got 5 badges. Now players, they kind of learned their lesson when they loaded up guys like Garland with like 20-something badges, and then they were busts, and they had to spend a whole bunch of time removing badges. Now they are basically all the rookies start with like no badges, or like no badges, or like 1 to 3. Akaro is one of the few that started the year with like a badge, which I think is the proper way to do it. Like make them earn it at the pro level, rather than just like assume that players barely play in college to begin with nowadays. So. Is my controller gonna work? Come on. Jared Allen. No, he doesn't have a badge update either. Jesus. Alright. Who else is on our list? Akaro. We were right there. Dang it. This lag is murdering me a little bit, as I mentioned previously. All right, so Isaac Akaro. He has been struggling. As we see for the season, 39%, 25% on 3, 7.5 per game. And he's likewise a part of their 30th ranking in offense. And let's see what he did in this cycle. 34% from the field, 18% from 3. 6 points a game. Yuck. Obviously, he's in the lineup for his defense, but he's not doing anything for them on offense. And Datsun went down. Okay. And what we see, Datsun, yeah. So they just worried about the shooting percentages for the most part. 38% from the field, 22% from 3. So that's pretty much why he drops a point. And let's check out Dylan Windler, who's the lone Cav that went up. Windler, of course, in his rookie season, after missing all of last year. And just from, where's his line? 62 true shooting. Rebound ratings are great. Block rates pretty solid also. Yeah, he's listed he's at the 2, but he rebounds like a 4. So that might, let's see what his rebound ratings are at. 69 and 73. So this 74 is also a little deceptive, as if you change his position to a small forward, because the shooting guard position doesn't really factor rebounding that much into its overall rating. He probably jumps 2 points in overall just by switching his position. But let's look at what he did this cycle. 46%, 24% on 3. So it looks like it's not his 3-point shot or anything that went up, but probably just his rebounding. And he's +3 since the start of the year. He was a 3-point specialist, and now he's an offensive-minded guard. So his 3-point rating is only a 78, and so that means previously it was an 80, or an 80, above an 80. Can you check the ratings at different positions for Windler? I could, I guess, hold on, let me, I have this in the regular roster menu. Let me just create roster and create, let me click the button. Just create roster with the official, then we can do a little more with it. So Windler, let's get to the bottom of that. Switching his position makes him a 76. He rates higher at power forward than he does at the 2 because of that rebound rating. You must work really hard. I made a 2020 roster in 2K19. It was so hard, but came out great. Yeah, I find roster work is fun. It's fun if you make it fun. X. Did Datsun go up or down? No, he went down to a 71. Okay. Only 71 for Datsun, eh? I will respectfully disagree with that one. 218, 71. 218, 73. Also, some of, I think it's worth noting, the list that 2K provided is also off of Next Gen, so there might be a little bit of discrepancy with this list and what the defaults are in current gen. Predominantly because there are badge differences in current gen and next gen. So if a player, if 2K deleted a badge in next gen, and therefore a player doesn't have it, it's going to affect their overall rating. So this list is probably 99% accurate. There might be a player randomly that is off by a point. So just keeping that in mind. Tory and Prince dropping by 2 points though. That seems like hot garbage nonsense to me. Kevin Love still has not suited up for this team. And let's check out Larry Nance, who's been out. He played one game, and then he's been done ever since. And they have lost pretty much every game. Yeah, they've lost every game since the last update. So it does not, and they lost big during that time frame too. So that definitely explains why the entire team's ratings went down. Hey, what's up, Pete? Did you get my email? Or notification in your email? They already had Prince too low to begin with. He was easily underrated defensively, among other areas. Yeah, that's the thing that, like, as they move forward with this roster, the only thing that they're really changing is just a handful of attributes that are tied to stats, which I've mentioned to, a couple people here and there, and everybody loses their fucking minds, like, whenever we talk about how, like, 2K's rating methodology. They're only looking at, like, 12 attributes for on like the bi-weekly basis. Anything that they don't have a formula for, that they would have to manually look at, they're not changing. Awesome. Wait, what the fuck am I doing? Oh, that's right. There's 2 Datsuns now. Haha. Datsun. Okoro. Turian Prince, man. Like I said, I generally have players rated higher than 2K does. They focus on the overall number versus the individual ratings. It's so stupid. Yes and no. I don't know if you missed where I talked about Danny Green. Like, Danny Green's a 75 because they have his intangibles a 25. They just want him that low. God knows what reason, though, because, like, they've got Denzel Valentine at a 75. And in what universe is anybody taking Denzel Valentine over Danny Green? Or, like, considering them on par with each other? So they can't even get out of their own way, it seems, on a lot of the overall ratings. As you've seen, they changed quite a bit of positions for players too, which I actually think is good because it shows they're keeping up with things better in the past years. You know what? I didn't even notice that they changed any positions, but that's probably a good thing. Like that I did. The fact that I didn't notice is actually a positive development. Pretty much everything so far has been in line with what I've got in my roster, which is why I guess I didn't notice. I don't know what they. I just don't keep track of what they have their positions at, like, because they're wrong so frequently that, like, you know, I'd be keeping track of half the league. But so far everything looks good on that end. All right, let's hope my game becomes. Oh, that's right. We're not in the 2K roster anymore, or we are, but we changed. I like how when you're in editing rosters versus just like scrolling the roster menu, there are different controls. Why? Who fucking knows? Like in the regular roster menu, R2 is just how you cycle through the menu, and when you're editing the roster, R2 takes you to rotations and all this other stuff. So, I don't know. Whoever mapped things is... Okay, Celtics. Tatum, Walker, Teis down, Tristan Thompson up, Semi Ojeleye up. Okay. Let's see what's going on. All right. Tatum, he's having a marginally better year than last year. But Jaylen Brown's kind of stolen his thunder a little bit. We all thought that Jason Tatum was Batman and Jaylen Brown was Robin, but it might end up being reversed this year. But let's see what's going on. Of course, I say this, and Tatum looks like he had his best game of the year, 35 points on pretty solid shooting. Got to the line a lot. For this update, Egad, he only shot 39% from the field and 34% from three. He did average 24, 6, and 7, and 6. But that's not great. So definitely explains why he dropped a point. Kemba Walker, he's going to be dropping throughout the year. He's not... I don't think we're going to see all-star level Kemba Walker again anytime soon. Only 36% on the year, 36% on three. I don't even know if we need to really check here. But for this update, yeah, 36% from the field. He's still 42% from three. Half of his shots are threes, so he'll still be like a reasonable role player. I personally project him to be like Lou Williams as he moves into his 30s. Like, I don't think you necessarily need to start him. Just make a super sub, you know? That would allow... I think Marcus Smart makes a ton of sense in the starting lineup as a defensive player, and then just stagger them offensively. They don't have any scoring in their bench, so I don't know. Like, part of the problem is Kemba Walker probably is a four-time All-Star and having that conversation with him that, if it's better for the team that you move to the bench. Maybe they're not ready to have that conversation with him yet. But, I mean, it's not like they're going to find many takers for him in trades. So, like, they're going to have that conversation with him sooner rather than later. He's only averaging 18 points, 18, 4, and 4 over this stretch of games, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon. He's not the player that he was during his prime right now, and I don't anticipate that changing anytime soon based on his the role that he just has with this team. He's an offensive player, or he's a scorer, but he's only the third best scorer on the team at the end of the day, so that just limits his upside value. Daniel Teis and Tristan Thompson. Let's load them both up simultaneously. Let's look at Teis first. He's down. He's fluctuating kind of throughout the year. And only 46% from the field. That's not great for a big man. Let's see what he did the previous cycle. Previous cycle, he was 57% from the field, and also 56% from three. So his offensive production kind of tailed off a bit. He's going to be inconsistent. He'll have good games and then games where he just doesn't contribute at all offensively. As for everything else, yeah, that all looks pretty standard for him. Tristan Thompson, he started off the year abominably. As we see from really up until February, only 45% from the field on 6 points a game. Not good. He missed all of training camp, so a slow start was to be expected. And let's see how he's fared in this update cycle. 55% from the field. 8 points, 8 rebounds. So overall, just been more efficient and effective. What are my thoughts on a guy dropping despite being out with an injury and still returning to form after coming back? John Morant went -1. Well, I guess we'll see when we get to them. I think there are 2 teams out. Semi Ojale, 73. Looks like pretty par for the course for him. He's been playing a little bit more due to injuries. For the cycle, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 25 minutes a game, 5 starts, 40% from 3. Yeah, basically five starts. That's really all you need to know for why his rating went up. He's still only, a 73? Oh, they have the power forward. Okay. Another player, the One Badge Club. I don't know what Grant Williams has to do to get his rating up, but... All right, and let's check in with the Celtics. And then also, I got to do badges. I haven't been tallying the badges for these players. So checking out with the Celtics, they're 14-14. Danny Ainge recently said that they're not a championship contender, which that's their record. That's, I guess, a fair assessment of them. They do have some holes, and they haven't been healthy, so I think that's just the GM taking pressure off of the players at the end of the day. But pretty mediocre results. 15th offense, 13th defense. Last year they were 4th defensively and 4th offensively. So I think they're missing Marcus Smart quite a big deal. but they also lost Gordon Hayward, didn't replace him, and that's just reflecting in their overall talent level. You know, they don't have the depth that they did last year as a result. They're feeling, you know, they have players out with injuries, and they're feeling it now. Previously, they were not. So let's review badges going back these three teams. I gotta get out of this because the control difference is throwing me off. All right, Chicago. Don't anticipate any badge changes. If anybody was gonna change, it would have been Zach Lavine. Still a 0 for Patrick Williams. Yep. Okay, Cleveland. 22 Drummond. 22 Drummond. Oh, they took a badge away. 23. 2K's hard at work. They took a badge away. Also, did I get the date wrong? Or no, all right. And then 2/18/22. All right. Can I figure out? I've done his badges, so I should be able to figure it out. Justin Patton just signed a two-way with Houston. Oh, yeah, I saw that earlier. I just didn't get around to changing it yet. Back down, Lob City, pick and roll. There isn't a chance in hell that he deserves Lob City. Contact and relentless. Okay. Bronze for Lob City. Back down, cross drop hook. I think they just took away cross key scorer. And that's probably it. Oh, okay. Mentally noting that one. Roller, put back. Yep. Ice and Veins, lull. Playmaking, post spin, and then defense. These are all fine. Let me just change the color on that. Wow, cross key scorer. That was their big change. And badges for the C's. Badges for Kemba Walker. They're dropping his ratings, but he still has 1 million gold badges, so you know. Daniel Teis. Daniel Teis is an interesting one to have like 10 badges versus Taurean Prince is 1. Thompson 8. God, why am I yawning? Aside from my sleep cycle being fucked up, but Clippers. We're done on the Celtics, right? Yeah. All right, Clippers. Only 3 updates. Lou Williams went up 3 points. Morrison Ban up a point. So let's check out Sweet Lou, who was not playing well earlier in the year. Obviously, he turned that around a little bit. Oh yeah, big time, big time. Oops. So over this cycle, 47% from the field, 38% on 3, 21 points a game. Enough said. Before that, Before that, 10 points a game, 35% from the field. So night and day. Completely night and day. Marcus Morris. He missed training camp with injury, so probably the same story as Tristan Thompson. He's been coming into form, and we see Morris got his first 2 starts of the year, and he played extremely well in his first start with 32 points, 11-15, 6 of 8 on threes against Miami. For this cycle, 47 from the field, 60 on threes, 18 points in 27 minutes. Yep, that'll do. Terrence Mann. This is one of these garbage time specials. Like, he's finally playing. So let's see what he did in his first real playing time of his career. 24 minutes a game, 53% from the field, 29% from 3. 7, 5, and 2. That's 53%. Is your core reason for improvement. And I think, like, Man's a fine player. He just doesn't get a ton of opportunity because Kawhi and Paul George play the same position on the team. They've been out, though, right? I know they've been missing games, but I haven't kept track of how many. Kawhi's missed the last 3. Let's see what Paul George's been up to. Paul George missed a lot more. Paul George missed the entire update, actually, which I did not account for. Whoops. So who's been their starter? Beverly, Reggie Jackson. Okay. Kennard's been out too. That would explain why Man's getting PT. Oh, he just missed 1 game. All right, so let me see here. And this is a game that everybody took off. Oh my gosh, hold on. All right, yeah, Reggie Jackson is the regular starter. Looks like Beverly's been out. No, there's Beverly. Oh, wait, so... Okay, they started Reggie Jackson at the 3 in this game? Who'd they play? The Cavs? I guess you can get away with that, since they have a double point guard lineup. Okay, here's their more traditional. Yeah, Reggie Jackson's starting 2. Okay. right, let's look at the badges. $50 badges for Paul George is comical. 12 Ibaka, 30. Okay. Let's check out them Grizz. Oh, and let's check in with the Clippers also, just in general as a team. 21-9, third in the West. Second offensively, 14th defensively. So they basically profile similar to the Bucks. And last year, I think they had a tougher defensive identity under Doc Rivers. It's not surprising at all to me that their defense would slip under Ty Lue. Yep. Last year they were 5th defensively, and they were 2nd offensively under Doc. So like, they're slightly worse than they were last year. Although some of that is, if they have guys in and out of the lineup, they're going to be, who they are in the playoffs is a better indicator of who they are than like their whatever their regular season numbers are. But let's check out the Grizz. They are 12-12, 9th in the West. A little bit of a comeback trail this year. They weathered the storm of missing Ja Morant due to injury. So they're hopeful that they can make a push now that he's back. Let's check out Morant. The team in general, -1 for Morant, +1 Jonas. Kyle Anderson's been having a good year. Grayson Allen's up 2. He had a nightmare start to the year. So it looks like he bounced back. And Desmond Bain also got a +2. Let's see what's up with Ja Morant. So you say that Ja Morant returned to form, and I'm going to disagree with that. Because we see here his 3-point rating, and this is something that we know, like 2K, they put too much weight onto the 3-point, like the shot rating changes. They look too much at the season data and not as like the combined. So what is his 3-point rating? It's a 75. That's probably what dropped, is my guess, as there's nothing that really, from looking at his season numbers, he didn't really get better or worse in any area. This is an improvement in his assist rate and everything, but let's see what he did over the last 2 weeks. In the last 2 weeks, 41% from the field and 23% from 3. 18 points, 9 assists. So, shooting percentages, that's pretty much what it comes down to. And before the update, he was at 47% from the field. So, he didn't quite return to form. He was better when he had immediately come back from injury. So he definitely slipped since the basically for this rating cycle. And again, that's why we're talking about why I'm looking at each of these players for the specific cycle, because I don't think they're evaluating it on like player X was hurt, player Y was hurt for this period of time, etc. They're just looking at what did everybody do in the last 2 weeks. That's why they do these updates every 2 weeks and not like daily or anything like that. So Jonas. All right, looks like his numbers are solid. Oh yeah, he's been playing really well of late. 20 and 11 on 66% shooting. 57% on he hit 4 threes in the last 2 weeks. You know, not a ton to complain about. What did he do before that? Before that, he was only at 14 points on 53% shooting. So, yeah, he's definitely. He only went up 1. You know, that's a little surprising when we look at that disparity. But let's check out Kyle Anderson. Yep, career year for him. Oh my God, yeah. So for the cycle, 16 points a game, 16, 5, and 4, 51% from the field, 45% on threes. This is a guy that can't shoot. He had a 6 of 8 3-point game. 2.1 times 8 is what? 17? He hit 17 threes in 8 games. Like, prior to this year, he hit 82 threes in his career. He's going to double that this year alone. Which is great for him. That's what he needed to carve out a career and also be worth his contract. Grayson Allen and Desmond Bain. What are we looking at? Desmond Bain. 48% from the field, 48% from 3. He's missed the last couple games, but for the update, 47, 42. He's been shooting great overall. And obviously, as a rookie, he was probably a little underrated to begin with. And for all we know, all they really changed was his intangibles. I don't know what his attributes were offhand. I'm looking at the wrong thing with him. Grayson Allen, as mentioned before, he was a starter and was god-awful to start the year. Shot only 21% from the field in his first 4 games. Missed a game due to injury, and then was in a bench role after that. And played better to work himself back, 43% on that stretch. Went down again, came back, has been playing well, and looks like he has re-entered the starting lineup. So for this cycle, 49% from the field, 51% on threes, 14 points a game. So that +2 is pretty self-explanatory. He went from absolute garbage at the start of the year to where he's at now is pretty effective overall. Okay, let's look at the Hawks. Actually, hold on. Where's Grayson Allen? 3-point specialist, 85 3-point. Yep, okay. Let me do my badge check. Java 38. Only 2 badges for Kyle Anderson. We sing his praises. And he's basically in the same like Tory and Prince conversation. I notice a lot of power forwards just don't have badges. Like they couldn't figure out what to give a lot of stretch fours, I think. They kind of fall into this weird like spot of like they're not post players, so they're not getting any finishing badges. Some of them are like mediocre shooters. because they're not getting any shooting badges. Most power forwards don't create, they're not playmakers or anything, so they don't have any of those badges, and they're not the lead defensive player on a team. It's usually like the center, so for the most part they're not getting a ton of defensive badges. Oh my god. All right. Coffee. Oh, and checking in with the Grizz. 12-12, 9th in the West. 19th offense, 17th defense. They're kind of in the same conversation as like the Chicago Bulls, in that they are slightly below average across the board, and they are currently slotted to play in the play-in game. So looking at the Hawks, looks like they didn't have a ton of updates on Onyeka Okongwu, Rajon Rondo, and Skyler Mays. Skyler Mays has been in the rotation due to injuries to other guards, notably Rondo. So let's see what he's done in his first real action. %50 from the field, 46% from three. Not to sound like a broken record as we go through 140 players. Shooting matters for the 2K rating. Rondo, I'm gonna guess only 2 games played. One of them is an 0-for-7, so that might have kind of been the straw that broke the camel's back a little bit. But otherwise, he hasn't been very effective. We see before that it was like an 0-for-4, like. He's a playoff guy. He wasn't having a great regular season with the Lakers early in the year either. So maybe he'll come around, but so far not looking like the greatest signing for them. And Okongwu, let's see what's up. All right, looks like he's not really a stable part of the rotation. 2 points a game, 50%. So, not really seeing. He went up or down? He went down. I guess him not really producing, like just from looking at his season production in only 93 minutes, his stats aren't the greatest. I guess that would be why he would drop a little bit. Again, I don't know exactly what attributes dropped. I don't know if I can figure it out from glancing at it. Probably his rebound rates is my guess. He's got a dumb high intangibles. Whatever they dropped, all right, so the fact that he has the 95 intangibles, which he didn't have before, means whatever they changed on him dropped him even more. So he probably dropped realistically like 3 points in this update, and they had to get his int up in order to compensate. So the only thing that counts that heavily for a center's overall is their rebounding. So I'm gonna guess that he probably dropped like 10 points in each category. And that they had to make that intangibles not mod in order to keep him where he's at. Oh yeah, that's your Atlanta Hawks. Kind of a weird, a quiet update for them, as like all 3 players that changed in rating aren't really in the rotation. But the Hawks, they are 12-16, have kind of fallen off a little bit. They started off, hot to start the year, and Ever since DeAndre Hunter got hurt, they have not been playing well. Looks like they're like 2-7, 11th offensively, only 22nd defensively. He's kind of he's one of their few solid defensive players. Gallinari's had a nightmare year. I'm surprised to see he didn't drop a little bit further. He had a 3 of 13 game. I guess his 2 games, these 2 games kind of salvaged his cycle. And I guess he didn't have the worst update. Like, he was definitely slightly better this update than he was the prior update. The prior update, he was just trash. Before that, 41%, 9.5. And for this cycle, well, 12 points a game, 35% from the field, 35% from 3. I don't know, just having a shitty year all around. And they have him at an 80 still. Yeah, they're hanging on for dear life there. I have been 82, but I'll probably be dropping him a little bit. Wow, I did not know he was 6'8". Don't ratings increase with height too? Yes, generally like 2 inches for, well, it depends on the positions also, but for like a center, 2 inches equals 1 point of overall. Center, power forward. For a point guard, it doesn't scale at the same rate. I think it's probably like 4 points or 4 inches per overall point. I want to say. Might be 3. The Heat, okay. Bam down, Dragic down, Duncan down 2, Iggy down 1, Struss up 3. Alright, so let's check out Bam. He's still having a career year, in contention for an all-star reserve spot. $19.96, 54% from the field. Yeah, just solid overall. He went down a point. I guess he had a 41 point in the previous cycle. Goran Dragic. Only played one game this cycle. I did not realize that. These guys just can't stay healthy. Kendrick Nunn has been starting in his place. So, yeah, nothing to really talk about here. Jeez. Let me deactivate Dragic again. Duncan Robinson, 75 -2. People think the Heat fell off, but really they're just hurt. Well, I mean, they did also overperform in the bubble a little bit. Duncan, I assume, went down. I wasn't actually paying attention. -2? Yeah, I mean, this is about as bad as he'll shoot. 38 and 34. Pretty clear drop for him. Iggy, He's only shooting 37% on the year. And 39% here. 19% from 3. That's probably the kicker for him. Max Struss getting his first meaningful minutes of the year. Or his career, rather. %58, 50 on 3. I guess he was playing pretty well in the prior cycle, but they hadn't accounted for it yet. On the year, 13.7, 70 true shooting. Yeah, he's basically this year's version of Duncan Robinson in terms of his shooting percentage. He's hit 93% of his twos. Hornets. Okay, I think we're gonna do a part 2 of this also, because I could my voice is getting a little, dry. So we're gonna go through to the Jazz, and then I'm gonna take a break and come back and finish the last 20 teams after that. Gordon Hayward, 85. LaMelo, Rozier, Washington, Devontae, Malik Monk. All right, so this is a pretty significant update for them. Basically, all the key Hornets on the team have overall changes. Hayward, 26 and 5. 43, 39. Pretty standard. This is like basically the numbers that he put up with the Jazz when he was an All-Star. He went down. I guess the shooting percentage, only 43% on that cycle. Rozier, yeah, from his last 3 games alone, 27 points, 55, 47, 95. Assists are kind of just gravy, like nothing else to really discuss. And LaMelo Ball, I'm sure we'll have plenty to discuss with him. I keep forgetting to check badges for all these guys. Looks like I don't think LaMelo got any bad changes, but let me see. LaMelo for this cycle, 22 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. 46% from the field, 43% from 3, 83. I have him at 84. He's underrated. He's finally starting for the team. Yeah, he started all 6 games of this cycle as a starter. He's averaging 21 points a game. He can't go back to the bench at this point. I would be, if he does fire the coach, he's the starter now. He's rookie of the year. Pretty much. It's pretty interesting. I have him as he's the starting small forward on this team. For the moment, I do expect that when PJ Washington comes back, they'll go with a more traditional lineup, and Devontae Graham will be the one that hits the bench. I think that's more suited to Devontae Graham's role anyway. Speaking of Devontae Graham, 78 plus 1. He's been playing better after, lots of players started the year not either not ready or not in shape, or I don't know what the story was, but Graham's first 10 games, he shot 27% from the field, which was, I think, probably the worst start we may have seen in NBA history. For this update, only 38%, 25% on threes. So I don't really know what they changed, unless they just weren't factoring, or I guess, hold on. Never mind. I counted this game as part of it. This 4 for 15. So just looking at the 3 games that were part of this update, 46%, 31% from 3. The 31% from 3 may not seem like much, but we already established like he shot like shit to start the year. The 46%, I guess, is like significant enough to that this actually meaningfully changed his shooting stats, his shooting ratings, I guess. PJ Washington, did he even play this update? Oh, he did. He's been in and out of the lineup, though. He only played 3 games and shot 22%. So, yeah, very obviously he would go down. And Malik Monk, he's been in the rotation after not being in it at all to start the year. And we talked about him about a week ago when he had this 36-point game, or 2 weeks ago already. But, his last 2 weeks, he's averaging 11 on 41, 46 shooting. The 46 3-point is basically the best stretch of 3-point shooting in his career. He hit only 28% last year. He's at 50% this year, so wildly different. He was a shooter coming out of college, and we were expecting him to shoot like this from the start of his career, and we don't really know what had him sidetracked, but good to see him get himself on track, as if he didn't do this, he was basically going to be out of the league. All right, let's backtrack a little bit just to check some badges. Yeah, speaking about players that don't deserve badge, like the rookies that they fucking loaded up with badges last year, Bruno Fernando has 9 badges. So talk to me about all the 4s in the game that have like 1 to 2 and Bruno Fernando and his 4 points per game. He has 9 badges. Yeah, there's another guy that, who knows what, he's got 1. Solomon Hill's got none. Heat badges. So no new badges for the Hornets. I mean the Hawks. And let's see, the Hornets 39-33. So I'm not expecting any changes after this. Looks like everybody's still the same. None for Strauss. Hey, 2K finally injured Myers Leonard. It only took him like 2 weeks. Okay, and let's check out the Hornets. Hayward. Yeah, again, Bruno Fernando, 9 badges. Gordon Hayward, former All-Star, only 14. Okay, sure. LaMelo Ball, lottery pick, future rookie of the year, has 1 more badge than Bruno Fernando. Don't appear to be any badge changes for them. And let's check out the Jazz. Let me just do their badges now while I'm looking at them. I highly doubt they have any badge changes. This is the Jazz we're talking about. They only updated 1 player rating for this team. To moderate some comments in my channel. Best team in the conference gets no updates. Yeah, I mean, 24-5, 4th offense, 2nd defense. That's the reason why they're not getting any updates, because 2K hasn't touched anybody's defense. Jeez, what's this stretch? They've won 9 in a row. They're 20-1 in their last 21. Fucking ridiculous. So I guess we look at Jordan Clarkson. He's the only player that had their rating changed on this team. $20 points, 44-38. That's kind of standard though. He must have underperformed that prior. Previously he was at 17, 41, and 31. What did he shoot from 3 this cycle? 38, yeah, okay. So basically his 3-point rating went back up. That's pretty much it. That makes sense. Oh man, so sorry to keep you waiting, Diop, because I'm about to take a short break because my voice is getting a little raspy, and we're 10 teams through, 20 more to go. Feel free to watch the replay during my break. We're going to be covering the Sacramento Kings. These are all the updates that we still have to do. The Rockets are going to be a big one. Yeah, thanks guys for watching, and to be continued. I'll see you guys in maybe 2 hours or so. Thanks for watching.